What's up, friends? Welcome to Web3 Academy, a place for entrepreneurs, creators, and marketers to explore and learn how to use Web3 to transform business models and create thriving communities. Enjoy this next episode.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Web3 Academy podcast. Super excited to be here today. It's Tuesday, March 1st. Wow, can't believe it's March 1st already. 2022 is flying by and it's just beginning. Super excited today to have an awesome guest on the podcast. We have Raquel Ramirez. Raquel is somebody that Kyle actually met first in Mexico. And I heard that there's apparently a funny story to that. So we'll see if we can get into that at some point during the podcast. Raquel lives in Mexico City, where she's a legit community queen, community builder extraordinaire. She's running weekly Web3 and crypto meetups. She's got Telegram and WhatsApp groups that she's running. She's really bringing the community together, both digitally and in person. And a lot of it is around Web3 and crypto in the space. And then currently she's also working on an NFT project, as well as launching a DAO for the community. So we're super excited to have her on the podcast. Raquel, welcome.
Thank you so much, Shay. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Well, my intro probably did not really do justice for all the amazing things that got going on. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Yeah, sure. So I am actually originally from California. So I grew up in LA, moved up to the Bay Area, expected to be in the Bay for 5 to 10 years at minimum. And then COVID hit. I ended up coming out to Mexico City for what was supposed to be a month in November 2020, and I never went back. So that's how I ended up here in Mexico City. I think a little ahead of like the major expat wave out here. And in a few months after I landed here, I started hosting just social events. I started one called Thursday Night Social Club that got really popular. I would do that every Thursday. That got really popular, and I started another event, a spinoff called Tuesday Night Dinner Club that I actually still host to this day. And Thursday Night Social Club used to be 20 to 30 people over at my apartment every single Thursday, which is crazy now that I think about it. Strangers mostly, right? Yeah. And yeah, now like Tuesday Night Dinner Club is a dinner series I host where anywhere from 30 to 90 people come out to dinner at different restaurants around Mexico City to just meet and hang out and make friends outside of the nightlife scene. So that was kind of how I got my start here in Mexico City, at least in terms of like being a community organizer. I didn't come here meaning to do that, but it's kind of become my thing here. At some point, it was funny. My friends started calling me the mayor of Mexico City, and I was like, oh, I don't like that. Like, it feels very political. And one friend said, you're not the mayor of Mexico City. You're really more of the La Condesa de La Condesa. And La Condesa means countess. And I was like, oh my goodness, yes, I like it. So since then, kind of that name has stuck, and I have kind of taken on this role as La Condesa de La Condesa, organizing events and building community. I actually started around that time that I started that first event, Thursday Night Social Club. I started my first WhatsApp group, and now I have I think 13 WhatsApp groups and a like 600-person Telegram group. So
These are not easy WhatsApp groups to get into, by the way, because I was in Mexico City for a bit trying to get into, like, I don't know if I was trying to get a place or trying to whatever, and it was like they were all full. I was like, you need to delete people, please.
Yeah, it's pretty great. Like, people are so active in these that it's actually hard to get to delete people, because I delete people if they haven't been active in like a week or two, just depending on how active that the particular group is. And in a lot of groups, it's like I can't delete anyone, or like I can get rid of like one person every 2 weeks because everyone is active, everyone's reading messages, they're writing in them. So I mean, it's great. It it really means that we've got a very vibrant and like thriving community here.
Mm-hmm.
But it also means that I might need some more WhatsApp groups. Or what I'm really trying to do is trying to see if there's other tech that is better for this, because while a network of WhatsApp groups is, it's functional enough, it doesn't really have a lot of the tools that I wish it had. And it's like, it's not really ideal for building community, which is actually part of the reason why I'm now looking to foreshadow. I'm really looking to build out a DAO and use some other better tools for that. But let me, I guess, rewind a little bit and then talk about how I got into kind of like the running kind of like at least a portion of the crypto and Web3 community here in Mexico City. So back in October or so, there was another small crypto meetup that happened here. And I took over hosting those, and kind of like the way they were run was kind of like just like social events essentially of people who were into crypto. And I thought, it's a shame that we get all these smart people in the same room and there isn't a structured way to like exchange information and exchange ideas and like have people like teach others about what they know, because there's so many experts here. So we just like changed it to a new format where now every week I get a couple speakers to come out, and they can be anywhere from people who just haven't really been in crypto that long or Web3 that long, but have really like deep dived into like some topic. What I tell people is like, if they have rabbit holed for hours in the dark of the room, and they can talk about a topic for 10 minutes, like they're welcome to come and speak at my events. Like you don't have to be a top expert in the field in order to come and share knowledge and to exchange ideas and expertise, especially in like the Web3 world where everything is changing so quickly and there's so much to learn from anyone, because what was true today may not be true in 2 weeks. Heck, it may not be true tomorrow, right? And so I really invite everyone from like beginner level all the way to expert level. Like we have really had some like true experts come in. Like just last week, one of the like core contributors to Andromeda and I think it was ERC F21, like that protocol, like one of like the like original like contributors to that came and did a talk on like DeFi and NFTs. We've had like some NFT experts, like some of like OGs from back in 2015 when people didn't even know what an NFT was, have come out and talked. So we've really had everything from like the expert of the experts to, people who are like, hey, I'm working on this project, and a month ago I didn't know what the blockchain was, and now I've got this guy came in and built something he called Friender. So it was like he originally called it Tinder Coin, and then he ended up changing it to like Friender Coin, I think. And like the whole idea is like, hey, this is a Web3 application where you could go on and like, okay, he's like, I don't think anyone's going to use it. I didn't actually build it for anyone to use, but it is something usable that in a month went from having like zero knowledge to building something that is like applicable and useful, potentially useful for the community. And so, yeah, so it's been really cool to be able to like have all of this, like all of this engagement with community, and mostly with the foreigner community who is settled here in the last year, where most people didn't move here with a lot of friends. They didn't move here, with a huge community. They've like come here, they've settled here, they've realized like how much they love Mexico City. and then have kind of like stumbled across one or some of my groups, ended up at a crypto event, and now have a community of Web3 and crypto enthusiasts, that they're now building projects with, that they're now, like they're going and getting lunch and like exchanging tips with, and like they're really doing something here, and we're building up now this like international community, that's not just people who are here in Mexico City, and it's not just expats either. It's like, it's the locals, it's the expats, it's the people who are here temporarily, but it's also people who are just passing through. So we've got this really beautiful mix of people from around the world, and people here who are here for different lengths of time, all being able to like intermingle and like, connect on this.
I've been able to see, I remember that one of the first ones that you ran, I saw just like how many people were there. I think it was on Instagram. You put out a story, and then now I'm seeing them and I'm like, oh my God, they're massive compared to what they used to be. So it's really, really cool to see the growth. And also last night in Medellin, there was a crypto meetup. And it's really interesting. You go into a place, you don't know anyone, but you all share like an interest, right? And people who like Web3 or crypto, they really like crypto Web3. So like you walk in and there's just a bunch of people like shaking hands, like they're ready. They just want to talk, like, what do you do? I want to learn more. So crypto events are actually amazing. And anyone who's listening, if you haven't gone to one, I'm sure there are some in your area, go check them out because they're awesome. But Raquel, I'm curious, what got you interested in Web3 in the first place? Like, why did you even start to make these?
Well, I mean, I was in the Bay before I came here, and being in the Bay Area, like you can't really stay away from it. I like to say I was a fly on the wall for a couple of years while I was out there, while I saw my friends build crypto companies or Web3 companies. One of my friends started Mobile Coin, which is this privacy coin that is now the coin on Signal that you can like. And it's just amazing, right? So it's like I've been kind of sitting around as I've watched my friends like do these really, really amazing and incredible things, trying to really change the world, with this technology that I didn't really understand. Because while I'm a little bit technical, I was a data analyst back in the Bay. I wasn't like I wasn't a software engineer, right? And so I just kind of like left that to my friends who were far more technical than I was. But then when I got out here and I started going out to like these different meetups, these different like crypto events, and like I'm a community organizer first and foremost. I just kind of like stepped in and was like, well, I may not know a lot about this particular topic, but I know how to gather people who do. And I know how to bring in people who are experts in this. And as I did that, and like as I like started to like, I started the groups, and I started like these talks every week. I started to learn a lot more, and then it became less and less scary. And it was like, well, wait, actually, this is pretty accessible. It's way more accessible than I would have imagined. Like I think when people think about Web3, for the most part, they're thinking about like trading in crypto, right? Which is like it moves so much. Like you buy, if you buy $100 in crypto today, you might lose 50% of it tomorrow. Like you don't know. You may also win. That may also like triple in a month or two. But it's so very speculative that a lot of people just don't have like, I don't know, like they don't have the I say like emotional endurance for it. And I honestly feel a little bit like that too, right? Like I try to just I only really invest in like projects that I'm like, okay, these are moving slowly but surely. I understand the project. I've read a lot about it. Like my friends have told me about this, and so like I know a lot, but that takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort, and unless you're really paying a lot of attention to it, it can be hard to make a lot of money in that, right? Without like the risk of losing everything or losing a lot of it. On the other hand, when I think about Web3 is just blockchain, anything like related to blockchain technology, right? And so it's like the application of this new technology and these new types of tools on everything else in our lives, right? So I think like two of the biggest and most interesting applications of this are one in NFTs, which like is just, I think like people right now think about NFTs just in terms of art, but really an NFT is just online, like digital, it's just it's just something that you can own digitally, right? It's like these online contracts that are like set in the blockchain, which goes so far beyond the applications in just art, right? Like right now, a lot of people think about NFTs as like, oh yeah, let me buy these like crypto punks or these like gorillas or these apes or whatever, you know, like what is this? What is this set of JPEG? What is this JPEG or like this like, you know, little like 3D animation? But I think what we're really going to find to be like really interesting is NFTs as they relate to physical goods, right? Like connecting them, like these online contracts, or these contracts that are on the blockchain, you know, when applied to, okay, let's start with physical art, right? Like, okay, well, you have a physical piece, and now this is the NFT is the contract or like the certificate of authenticity, let's say, right? That like is combined with that piece. Looking down the road, like NFTs for purchasing items, other items, right? Like I went to an NFT workshop last year, and afterwards, you know, we were all sitting around talking about like where the future of NFTs are going, and this guy goes, "You want to smoke some NFT weed?" And I looked at him, I was like, what? Well, I don't sell weed, but I sell NFTs of weed and I gift the weed. And I was just sitting there like mind blown. Oh my goodness. Like this is crazy. Like but he's like, it's a legal loophole and it's and it uses the same kind of loopholes as like these religious exemptions, right? Like these churches that are able to not sell, whether it's mushrooms or, you know, any of these different plants, but instead are using them as part of their religion, right? And they are gifting any of these plants, whether that's marijuana or it's mushrooms or it's like different things, as like to the members of their church. And so I just thought that was like really interesting. It's like, okay, well, this is the coolest thing for me is that I think humans have just like this unlimited capacity for cleverness, and Web3 technology is just this like conduit for like being able to apply this cleverness to all these different to like this tech that we now have access to. So I'm really interested to see like I'm really excited for where NFTs are going to be going. But then there's other things, like there's like DAOs, right? Like what are we seeing with DAOs? Like we're seeing communities being run off of DAOs, and we're starting to see even like religion DAOs, and like we're the interesting thing about DAOs is that you can incentivize people, you can incentivize community members to be the kinds of audience or participants in your community that you want them to be, right? Like you can do this with just clever tokenomics. And so like that's what I'm trying to think of. I've actually got a governance group for Coindesa. We minted 100 million Coindesa coins about a month ago at another like DAO workshop. And now it's like, okay, well, now that we've minted that, now we're kind of we're taking a step back, and we're now thinking about, okay, now that we've got this community, right? We've got like this Web3 community in Mexico City. We've got this like non-Web3 community also that's here in Mexico City. In total, we're looking over 2,000 people that are based here. And WhatsApp doesn't really do the community justice, right? So now we can start to think about like, how do we systematize incentives in order to make people feel like they are part of something that is even more than just like a bunch of random groups on their phone, on WhatsApp. How do we get them? How do we reward them for being active participants in our events, in our groups, for creating new events themselves, and essentially being ambassadors? How do we incentivize people to go to the local businesses, to be responsible community members beyond just, people who want to go out and party and go and make friends? Like, how do we, we can use tokenomics in order to even get people to incentivize people to go and volunteer, or
Right.
be the kinds of guests in the city that we want them to be. And so that's really what I'm thinking about with the DAO.
One of the things, I love everything you're doing, by the way, and I want to dive deeper into this DAO concept. So I get a lot of people asking, like, how do I start a DAO? What do I do? How do I figure out my tokenomics for DAO? And I mean, I think the answer is we don't know yet. Everyone's experimenting, but I'm interested to hear, I don't know how big the team is, like it's you and whoever else, like, what are you guys thinking of doing, or what have you already done? Like, are you airdropping tokens to the community that's like showed up to events? Are you using it to like gamify people to do certain things? Or like, what's your strategy if you have one yet?
Yeah, so to start, like I said, this DAO, or at least like the initial set of tokens, was minted during a workshop. And so during that, we actually airdropped 10,000 tokens to, or Coindesas, to anyone who was in the audience and set up a wallet. And we did this on, oh, I'm blanking right now, but yeah, but we airdropped everyone 10,000 tokens. And so we've given out, of the 100 million Coindesa tokens, we have given out about 300,000.
Okay.
And so the plan is currently to essentially do that for a second wave of entrance into this, into the DAO. So we'll probably have people apply, maybe via a Google form or something along those lines. It's like, are you part of the community? Just, something to just verify that they aren't just some random stranger on the internet who just made it into the Telegram group. And once they do that, and we have verified who they are, that they're connected in, we have maybe something, we probably will ask a question about what their interest is, and maybe what some of their ideas are for the DAO. And then once we get that, where they're verified, we'll airdrop them tokens, right? So that'll be kind of the first wave. What we're thinking about for future waves is, one, having an NFT that people can purchase in order to get access into the DAO. And then the third would be, as people go to events and get airdrop tokens for going to events, they would be able to invite X number of guests. And this would be probably more for some of the bigger events, maybe not for the regular ones that happen every week. But let's say we throw a big event, right? Let's say it's a big party, and tickets are, I don't know, $10, $20, something like that, right? Where it takes a little bit more effort to go. What we can do is give anyone who goes to this event tokens, and any of their guests who go to this, that they can also get tokens, and then have that be their entry into the DAO. Because we've done a good amount of studying of other DAOs. There's Friends with Benefits, there's there's Party DAO, we were looking
Bankless
at
DAO.
Yeah, there's so many different DAOs right now. Right now, there's a Ukraine DAO, raising money for for the effort out there in Ukraine. So really raising support for that. So as we look into this, it's okay, well, how, one of the questions you want to ask is how exclusive and exclusionary versus inclusionary do you want the access to be, right? So for some DAOs, you want it to be super exclusive. and you only want people to be able to enter if they have, bought something really expensive, or like, had like some kind of like some kind of large gesture to show that they really want to be in, because it's like, it's a cool DAO.
It's like Soho. It's like Soho.
Yeah.
It's like a membership, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then there's other ones where it's like when I think about like the community here in Mexico City, it's like, I want there to be a filter to some extent, because I don't want just any random person off the street, coming
Right.
in. Like I do want to maintain a culture, but at the same time, I want it to be accessible to the vast public, the vast majority of people. Like if people have the right attitude, that they care about the right things, if they if they want to like show up and participate, and they like what we're doing, like, yeah, absolutely, you're welcome to come in. So I always want there to be a path to enter that is not just that does not feel like it is like where there's a bar that's too high, right? Because
Right.
this is supposed to serve the community, and even when I think about that, it's like, how many people know enough about Web3 in order to even like get a wallet and to have the right tokens, right? In order to even for this to even be accessible to them at all. Like, how many people are that technical or have that much time to learn how to do that, even though it's not actually that difficult. It does take some it takes some setting up. And if you're already busy and you already have a lot of hobbies, and you're already trying to like make new friends, and you're trying to do all this stuff, and you're trying to explore the city, not everyone is going to do that, right? So I'm trying to be cognizant of that as we build this out, and make it as easy as possible for people who are motivated to actually join.
Interesting. I love the sort of like the idea of making sure that they not pass a test to get through, but like that they show that they're interested in the community. Because if just anyone joins, it kind of gets washed out, right? Or watered out. I'm curious though, what's the utility of the token? So like people are getting airdrop tokens for showing up, which is all and well. What other than getting access into it, is there more things that the token does? Is it for governance? Do they get, I don't know, discounts on merch, or like, what are your ideas there of what this token might do?
Yeah, so the ideas are kind of threefold. So one is getting access to like exclusive events. So you have X number of tokens, you're in like the top, I don't know, 10%, 50%, whatever. And now you can come to these special events that we throw, that are that way we know that it's really just like the people who are like in the community, who are like awesome, and they can invite and we can have like a tiered system where the people who have the most tokens have like the most invites, right? So that the people who are the most engaged have the most influence over who else gets to go to, who else gets to show up. So that's the first thing. And really it's like they have the most influence over like shaping the audience, right? Like shaping their community. So that's the first one. So access in terms of like themselves going to events and like being able to bring friends. So the second one is working with local businesses in order to get discounts to different places. So that it takes that really, now you start to get into like the actual economics of like, well, what is this worth to different businesses, right? And if they're giving discounts, like how do they verify, that people have like a certain number of tokens, and like why are they going to like put in the effort to do that? Like, do they even understand what Web3 is? So there's challenges around that, but the idea would be to give people who are part of the DAO, access to different types of discounts around town. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing is just being part of a community, and we'll probably end up starting a Discord for this, as much as I don't want another
another tool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm already between like 13 WhatsApp groups, a Telegram group, to also have a Discord. It's like, I have to like meditate a little bit to like
Yeah.
until before I make my final decision over like if that's going to be the tool. But yeah, so really it would be you know, like this like kind of greater access to like more of a community on that. But also what we're talking about doing is having like the DAO that is really trying to focus around culture and trying to incentivize people for coming out to things and for like I said, like hosting events, you know, like really like, yeah, incentivizing the culture that we want. That being like kind of like the Web3 side, but then also having that being attached to something else that we're working on, which is kind of like this like membership type community here based in Mexico City, where people, when they get into this, they can, it basically acts as a way to better connect people over what they need, what they want, and like what they are, you know, kind of just like what they can offer. So like one of the big challenges we've run into here is like, we've got this amazing community and like people are so talented and they have so many resources and there's all these things that they want to work on. There's like all these things that they should be connecting on, but like there's like these basically misconnections because people don't know what other people do or what they need. It's like, hey, somebody over here runs like a talent agency and someone over here runs I don't know, the engineering department for some big company and is looking to hire 100 new engineers. And if we knew that, we had that information collected somewhere, I could be able to match them. But currently we don't, right? So I'm working on like putting together a system where like a membership type system where we can match people on those things, right? We can match people on the fact that they're looking for apartments, on the fact that they're looking for new remote jobs, on the fact that they're looking for podcast guests, they're looking for, you know, like what they're looking for and what they can offer. And then having that kind of be like the core like Web 2 solution and then the Web 3 solution on top that also services that Web 2 solution that like doesn't need to be in Web 3. Right. And I think there is like with technologists, it's really easy to get excited that we have this new technology and then try to make like that technology fit everything. And I think that doesn't always need to be the case. Like Web 2 still works. Web 2 actually works better for, you know, a lot of things until Web 3 has come and like really proved that it works better. You know, that it's 5 times better at doing something, right? And so I want to be able to utilize Web3 for the things that I think it can do well, which is like you can incentivize people with tokens, right? And you can use tokens to build a strong community that, you know, that eventually can actually be worth something. Like, you know, then like later on down the line, like we start to get liquidity pools and like now people can start like, you know, buying in and like, you know, swapping their tokens for ETH if they move, or they can sell their tokens. And so like that would be really interesting down the line. But until then, it's like, okay, well, how do we like build that up with community that we already have? And I think the answer to that is like using Web 2, using Web 3 kind of on top of that, because people are like hooked in with you know, the community and the technology that's here, and then kind of like elevating that and kind of like using it as like, it's like really making it this like it's like the frosting on top, right? Then it's like the frosting and the cherry that can actually like something like really cool, right? It's like we've got a cake. Like what level are we going to take it to? I want to take it to Cake Boss, and I think Web3 is Cake Boss level.
I like Jay. I think you have some questions about the DAO, but before we get there, I just want to ask I just want to say a couple of things. One, I love the idea of, hey, we can still use Web 2. I mean, if you think about it, in Web 2, like we still use Web 1 stuff, like email websites, that's Web 1, right? And we all still use those. And so Web 3, I think a lot of people get focused on, oh, this Web 3 thing, like everything has to be a token or an NFT. And like the whole business is the token and NFT. And it's like, no. build a normal business or a normal community or whatever it is you're doing. And that can be Web 2 or real world or whatever. And then you use a token, like you said, to incentivize or like bring the community together. So I love that you guys are doing that. We're going to bring you back on once you like get to the point where you have liquidity and people can buy and sell all that. We're 100% going to do that. There's one other idea that last night when I was at this this crypto meetup in Medellin, I think this might be really useful for you guys, is someone built it's like a speakeasy, almost like a bar, but it's only for crypto people. And in order to get in, you have to hold a specific NFT. So it's like a membership. So like kind of like Soho, whatever. And it's kind of exclusive and it's quite expensive. It's a really nice place. And you can go there, you can work. It's a bar, restaurant, whatever. And like literally the NFT scans this like thing on the door and then the door opens. So you don't even like need anyone there. It's really cool. But what they did last night is every week they have like a public night where anyone can come and you just need to like sign up and say who you are, whatever. And they gave me an NFT, not the membership NFT, but this like other type of NFT that proved that I was there. And if I went to at least, I think it was 3 or 5, I think it was 3 within 1 month, I would get another NFT that I could then attend one of their like actual events where it's members only events. And so it's kind of like their business models, like you come for free, they hook you in with the NFTs, and then you get to go to the next thing. It's almost like a sales funnel, is the way I think of it as a marketer. But it was really, really cool. And then you get to kind of mingle with the real members. And then like, if you want in, you got to just buy the actual NFT and now you're a member and it's like your spot. Super, super cool. And that's like the only purpose of this thing is just for all the crypto members. So I really enjoyed it. And maybe it's something that you want to try out with what you're building.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. So if I get this right, there's 2 ways in. You can either buy the NFT or you can go to like 3 events within a month.
Well, if you go to that, you're not in, you just get to go to an actual members only event because the Monday night event was just public. And then like, if you want to go to one of the real like members ones, which is when they have like big names come in and speak and stuff, there's like more going on. This was just kind of everyone shows up and just meets each other. But the other events, you get to go to one of them, a special one, if you've gone to 3 of the free ones. And then if you want to go to all the events, you have to buy the NFT.
Rad. That's
yeah.
cool.
And then they're also looking at launching a token as well that will like, I don't know, it was for some governance stuff and then like potentially to like pay your bill at the bar and things like that. So I don't know, very interesting anyway.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Jay, any questions on the DAO?
Did you get a chance to go to Bitcoin Embassy? That's the Bitcoin bar here.
Where is that? In Mexico City or in Medellin?
Yeah. In Roma Norte, Mexico City.
No way. No, I did not. That's cool.
Yeah. Next time you're out here, we should go get a drink there. It's cool. I mean, I don't know that it makes the most sense to, but you can pay in Bitcoin.
I wouldn't.
Yeah,
let's get that.
get a couple beers, pay in Bitcoin. It's like you're in El Salvador.
yeah, right.
What I find really interesting, Raquel, about what you've done is it's so grassroots, right? Like you started out, not even the Web 2 way. You started out the 100 years ago way of building community, which is just local meetups, right? And so it's amazing to me because I think that a lot of people get caught up in the complexity of building a DAO or the complexity of building something around Web3, when really all you need to do is build community the way you know how. Right. And for you, sure, maybe WhatsApp isn't the best tool. You mentioned that earlier, right? There might be a better option, but it works, right? You've gotten to this amazing community of 2,000 people just off of that.
And the one note I have about that is like, WhatsApp isn't the ideal tool, right? But it's the tool that people use here. And I'm sure there's a lot of listeners here who are not based in Latin America or not based in specifically Mexico City. Mexico City runs on WhatsApp, and I think most of Latin America runs on WhatsApp. And it's actually funny to me when I go back to the Bay and it's like nobody uses WhatsApp there. And
frustrating.
They're iMessaging you, and it's like if you're not iMessaging, like they almost won't text you, or like they'll use Facebook Messenger. And so different communities use different methods for communicating, and here it's WhatsApp. So I think an important note is like you should use the the methods of communication that the community actually uses, right? So like the part of the reason I use Telegram instead of WhatsApp for my crypto group is, well, for one, I mean, there's like a much larger limit, but the second reason is that there's a lot of crypto people who don't actually want to be on WhatsApp. I've had people in the community who said, when I said like, oh yeah, add me on WhatsApp, they said like, I don't use WhatsApp. It's like, that's not encrypted enough. And it's like, oh, wow. Okay. Like this is different. Or when I go to add people, I say like, okay, yeah, here's my WhatsApp, or here's my or here's my Instagram. And if they're people in crypto, they're more likely to say like, oh, like I don't really use Instagram. What's your Twitter? Right. So it's like, you want to use the method of communication of the people that you were trying to contact or group or bring together, because it's actually very difficult to get people to switch platforms. And so if I had tried to get everyone from the beginning onto Telegram, I think I would have had far less success than just like using what is native to them and then trying to work within those like constraints.
Well, it's a great reminder to the doer side. And at Web3 Academy, we really like to celebrate the doers, right? Because those are the people that we need more of in order to jump into Web3. Because as you said earlier, Web3 is not necessarily easy. Sometimes people don't even understand the basics of it, right? And that's fine. Like there's that learning curve. But don't, if you're out there and you're thinking about starting something in Web3, or even starting a business that's not in Web3, quite frankly, if you're thinking about starting in anything, don't get caught up in the perfect and in the end result. Like do the simple thing, right? Do the simple things first. And that's what builds and grows to, you saying you started up just having people over to your house for dinner, and now it's a weekly thing that happens all around Mexico City, right? I'm sure that wasn't your intention off the beginning. One question I do have about, you mentioned that when you were thinking about starting your DAO and, through the work that you've done, and you mentioned some other DAOs that you looked at. I'm curious to know, was there any themes or any frameworks or anything that you saw from looking at Friends with Benefits or Party DAO or any other DAOs that you were like, oh, that's a good idea, I should keep that in mind? Any examples that were interesting?
Well, I think one of like the key things that I just saw over and over again is really thinking about tokens as kind of like three, I think it's three main like uses for them, like utilities. One is access. So access to whatever it is, whether it's a Discord or events or information, right? Or like new types of tokens, right? So access being the first one. The second one is its utility, tokens utility as like to reward, right? And really thinking about like tokenomics around that. It's like and you don't have to do everything within just one type of token, right? So you can create new types of NFTs, like Kyle was saying about that crypto group, where it's like, okay, well, they've got like the NFTs for going to a certain event. They have other NFTs. If you go more times than that, they have another type of NFT. And remember, NFTs are just other types of tokens. They're just non-fungible tokens, right? So it's like they have other tokens that are your access for going to like your access tokens to be part of the group, right? So so thinking about the second thing, like how to reward using tokens, and remembering that there's not just one kind of token. You don't have to like we've got 100 million of these Coindesa coins, but that doesn't mean that we can't create a second type of coin or work with other types of like NFTs and things like that, right? Those are kind of the two main ones. And then there's another one. And then the third, really just thinking like trying to think holistically about like what you really want to do, like what your goals are for the community. So like for different, like for some communities, it's like, like what I'm trying to do is really focus on the audience, right? And like the culture, and trying to shape that, like having utility for the, for the community, via a DAO. But for other ones, it's going to be like let's say like this Ukraine DAO, right? Like what is the goal behind that? It's probably to like raise money, and to probably like disseminate information, back to the people who have like probably contributed the most. I haven't actually looked that much into it, but I would imagine it would be something like that, right? There was like the Constitution DAO, where like they were raising money to like try to buy a copy of the Constitution, and ultimately failed, were outbid by $1. Like there's things like that. And so really it's like what you want to think about is like, one, what is your goal? Like, what is your short-term goal for the DAO, right? Like, what do you want for the community, for anyone who has bought in, has been rewarded in, has, like, what are their avenues to enter, and like what are they going to get out of it in the short term? But then also long term, like thinking about like, okay, well, what happens in 6 months or in a year when people like aren't don't have that initial excitement about this DAO anymore? Like, what happened? Like, one, how do you keep them engaged? How do you keep it relevant for them, that so that they don't just like forget about it or sell their tokens, or if they're not worth anything, they just like leave, and they just become kind of these ghost members, that are holding on to tokens. Like how do you avoid those kinds of pitfalls, so that you have more longevity? Because like realistically, like DAOs, NFTs, like a lot of these things are having a moment right now, and everyone's super excited about them, but like really, like if we want this to be sustainable, like we need to be thinking about like what this looks like in 1 year, in 5 years, in 10 years, and obviously like not planning for 10 years if we haven't got 6 months out planned, right? But having that be part of like of the longer term thinking, and thinking about how to keep everything sustainable, and moving along, right? And like one thing is like, maybe as people leave, like maybe you burn tokens, right? Like, but how do you keep it so that it's like relevant, you don't have like too much slack, as things start to change, and just kind of keeping up with everything.
Right. The other piece of utility, just to add in there, is governance as well, right? People like to make decisions or vote. And so tokens are great for that. And they can help guide or give ideas, but they can help guide the events you're going to throw, or the direction that your DAO goes, or the products you build, or whatever, or your treasury, which is very common. The interesting thing to me about tokens, and as we talk about all their different utilities, is when you think about it, all of these things do sort of exist in the Web2 world. Like you talked about getting discounts at different stores. I forget what this card was. Jay, maybe you remember this. I don't know if it's just in Canada or it's in the US too, but like you could sign up for this card when we were younger, and it would get you discounts at a lot of the like popular.
The student card.
Yeah. So it's like a student card that gets you discounts. And then there's like the incentives where when you do things, you get rewards. That's like credit card points or air miles, right? And then there's governance, which is just like, I don't know, voting, which obviously we have things that we do voting in. And so it's like, it's combining all of the different like Web2 tools, but the token can do it all, right? And then it's also, what's even better is like, in some cases, once it gets to this point, it's also liquid. So the moment you're like, I don't really want to use this thing anymore, you can just sell it and get into another group or do whatever you want. And that to me is like the most beautiful thing about Web3. Now you also started an NFT project, and I want to also talk about that. Unless Jay, you have any other questions about the DAO, or Raquel, you want to share any other thoughts about the DAO?
Yeah, I was thinking about the NFT project too. So you nailed it. But at the same time, I actually just quickly, I looked up the Ukraine DAO because we're talking about it, super topical. So let me just run this down quickly for everybody here. So you can check out the Ukraine DAO. You just Google Ukraine DAO, but the actual link is ukrainedao.love. And essentially it's one NFT that they are auctioning off. The auction ends in 14 hours, and they're using party bid. So on party bid, you can join a party to bid on an NFT without being, you don't have to be whale here to throw down, hundreds of ETH here. The current highest bid, so the winning party right now is up to 1,200 ETH, which is $3.5 million that would be donated to the Ukraine. So it just gives you like, wow, like what an incredible, very quick way to fund something, but also have everyone have an opportunity to be a part of it. That's, so, and not only to mention me a part of it, also the funding of this, because it's using crypto, will be so much more direct to the people that need it versus losing it in, the payment processing and whatnot. So if you want to check that out, UkraineDAO.love, really interesting example.
Awesome. So cool. Raquel,
yes, let's get back to the NFT.
Tell us about your NFT story, or what you're building right now.
Yeah, so I am currently working on the first of what I'm looking to be a kind of a series of NFT collections. And this one is the Fierro Viejo NFT project. So here in Mexico City, it started here in Mexico City, but you can also hear this around Latin America. There is this sound that trucks will drive around the city playing off of these speakers. And excuse me for my terrible rendition of this to start, but it goes, compra, colchones, tambores, refrigeradores, estufas,
Lavandoras.
So what these
yes,
mind you, anyone who's been in Mexico City longer than like 12 hours knows this.
It's all day. If you're trying to record a podcast, you can't, because no matter what, that's coming in the background. Like, Jay, I'm surprised you haven't heard this song in my mic before. We're just on our meetings and stuff. It's all day.
Oh yeah, like people who will like work here, like that's like one of their, like if they're working remote, like that's one of the complaints. It's like yeah. This is not a quiet city. You all day you hear this sounds like se compra.
Okay, so we've got this sound. How does this translate into an NFT?
So we've got this sound, and on Twitter a few months ago, somebody had this conversation. They were asking like, I hear this all the time. Has the lady who like originally recorded this, like, has she ever been paid on this? And like, and so I was tagged, and Christine Chang, who runs This Week in FinTech, she was also tagged, and they said like, would your Web3 communities be able to like help, like, I don't know, like start a DAO or an NFT for this? And I just, the cogs in my brain just started running, because I've also got a podcast called CDMX Expats, where I just interview people who have moved to Mexico City. And when I started this last year, I thought like, oh, well, I've got to have an intro song. And what's hilarious is if I found like a remix to that song. So I did. And so that's been my, like a remix to Se Compra, or it's called Fierro Viejo, has been the intro to my podcast for like, over 6 months. And so I was like, yes, I do crypto, like, or I do like Web3. I love this song already. Like I've listened to every remix of it, like on the internet, like many times over. Like when I was searching for like the perfect clip to make the intro of my podcast. So like, I know this so intimately, like, yes, let's do this. So what I started doing is putting together a like an NFT superstar team. And what I eventually got was, what I put together was this project where I'm tapping artists, mostly based in either Mexico, Latin America, but even if they're not based in Mexico, if they know this sound, if they have some kind of connection to it, then and they are either NFT artists or digital, either audio or visual artists. I'm tapping them to create art based on Fierro Viejo, where when they're sold as NFTs, approximately a third goes to Marianco. Maria del Mar is the girl who originally recorded this. Approximately a third goes to the artist, and approximately a third goes back to the project. That, you know, to be able to do this, to continue getting artists on board, to continue like basically raising money with, you know, by tapping the community to create art based on a given theme, right? And what's interesting about this, that I haven't seen really done anywhere else, is that it's an ongoing social benefit project, right? So most NFT collections that you see, it's like, you know, you see like there's some artists, they like make a bunch of faces, a bunch of different eyes, a bunch of different arms, a bunch of different, you know, eyebrows, and then they're for the most part they're using scripts to combine them into all these new variations, and then they sell those as an NFT collection. Or it's a single artist who's got like there's some artists that are doing collections based on physical work that they do. So here in Mexico City, or I guess he's actually based in Tulum, Alejandro Glot has Feel the Fruit and Crypto Papayas, and he makes these like, he takes these slices of fruit, dehydrates them, and then he like encases them in acrylic, sells them as necklaces or as these mandalas, and then he sells them as collections on OpenSea, right? So it's like all one artist, and selling actually with a physical representation. But this is just completely changing that, right? It's like, this isn't just one artist, it's one theme, where the goal is, you know, like raising money via the sales of these NFTs to go towards a social, like a social cause, right? So in this case, it's to Maria del Mar. So she and her father recorded Fierro Viejo about 20 years ago. And what they're doing is they're buying used appliances and steel and all of these things, like junk essentially. And it's just become, it's become this like real life meme, right? Which is kind of why it's so perfect as the first NFT, because NFTs are based on memes. Like the origin of them back in, you know, back in the mid 2010s was on memes. Like, so like if you look at the original NFTs, it's like there's like the rare Pepes, and it's just like it's all meme based.
Right.
This is Mexico City's like most famous meme, and it's really like one of Latin America's most famous memes, transformed into this NFT collection that is based on these memes, in order to raise money for not only this is for Maria del Mar, but we're also earmarking some percent of this to go to social benefit organizations that are like social organizations that are supporting art, technology, job skills, and culture. So, you know, it's like what we're basically creating is this machine that can create art, that can sell the art, and then that can continue supporting these causes that we care about, right? So, I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, like, heck, we could, like, this could be something that even works for like Ukraine, right? Like anything that you have that, like, imagine if we have big Ukrainian artists, you know, all come together, create really amazing art, and then in a way they're kind of donating their art, their time, but they're still being paid something for it, right? Because like however much that their art sells for, they're getting a portion of that. And also people know like, hey, I'm not just buying this person's art, but I'm also I'm buying this as part of like almost like a bigger fundraiser. And we know that like this is something that like in the Web 2 or web, you know, real life, in real life auctions, we know that people will go and they will pay more for something that they know has social benefit. right? So we can do the same thing in Web3. And so what's really cool about this project is, so for the primary NFT, I got the basically OG NFT artists of Mexico. So Gus Riasca, Gus GG, on Twitter and on OpenSea and around the interwebs. So he is one of like the OG NFT creators in the world. So he's been creating NFTs since before they were called NFTs, back in like I believe it was 2015, 2016. In 2017, he co-founded one of the first NFT marketplaces in the world, and he's from Mexico City. He's like from here, right? He's Chilango. And so being like one of the first in the world, being one of the first pioneers in the world, he's definitely like the pioneer of Mexico. So I got the pioneer NFT artist of Mexico from Mexico City. And the
meme lord,
the OG voice, like the original voice of the most famous like sound in Mexico City and across Mexico. And I brought them together for this. And Gus went, so we went in and met with Maria and her family about a month ago. And the following week, Gus went out to visit her again and recorded a new version of this.
Come on.
If you guys can see it.
Yeah, set it up.
Yes,
for sure.
Yeah.
So just to put this into context of what this song is, it's literally a couple guys in the back of a truck and they just drive around the city playing this song out of a speaker and just like blaring it so that people in their house can hear. And if you have an old, I don't know, dishwasher or an old like whatever appliance, you like run out and you yell at them and then they'll come in and they'll take it from you. And they're all over Mexico. This is why I love that this is being built around this. It's so funny.
Yeah. So
have you launched this yet, or it's still in the works?
So the artwork it's still in the works. It's still in the works. So we're looking at launching on Super Rare. And the timing is TBD. But yeah, it is in the works right now. We're in talks with Super Rare to potentially have this be part of one of their first editorials, like print editorials, which would be super awesome. And yeah, and then it would launch on there, and then after that we'll do the rest of the artist collection. So this is like the principal one, and then after this it'll be the rest of the artists that we bring in to make art for this, and then that may end up being an ongoing project that like doesn't really need to stop. It can just be something that, you know, it's like it's a Fierro Viejo like collaborative artist collection. So yeah, so the last bit of context for this one is it's Maria and her dad. So her dad is the one who originally recorded it, but she was the voice, right? And it's been 20 years and she's become the most famous voice in Mexico. And so this is imagining in the future, when we have really moved into space travel, and this is Maria and her dad traveling through space, picking up space junk. So really listen close to the words here. But this is a new recording. Here we go. Oh. Hold on. Sorry.
This is going to be so good. This is.
That is amazing.
Androids, disintegrators, bazookas, microbomb, or any kind of crude petroleum that you're selling.
And so for the listeners right now, she had her screen up and it's like, is that an NFT, what you were showing there, like the little video, or not yet?
So that is
that will be
the NFT, and it loops 3 times, and the audio gets modified on the different ones, but yeah. Okay.
are you going to turn this into a music NFT? Because that's the big rave right now. And I feel like this is perfect to become a music NFT.
This is, you know what, like that will probably be for some of the future ones.
Right.
Where we can do collaborations with like big like DJs. But we are going to we're going to auction this one as like a video, essentially. Like
Right.
it's like a minute-long video.
Mm-hmm. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. What a great project.
So thank you. Yeah. So that's the first one. And then really what I'm looking at doing kind of down the line, like in the pipeline, is doing a very similar project, but for the Huichol artists in Mexico. So Huichol, if you don't know, it's they're the people who do the Shakira art, which are like they do like these sculptures. Sometimes they're like jaguar heads or like different types of animals, where it's like all this tiny little beading in these like really gorgeous geometric shapes. So if you look up Shakira, I think it's XIC.
Text us out, message me it after, and we'll put it in the show notes. And you guys can
yeah. So and Huichol is Huichol, Huichol people. Yeah, but if you just look up like Mexican bead art, even or like bead statues, like you'll just see them. They're these tiny, tiny, tiny little beads. And this is like an art form that goes back hundreds of years, and it's from this indigenous people that are like they're losing this bit of their culture, right? Because like their kids are growing up, they're moving away, they're moving to the cities, they're getting into tech, and so a lot of these cultures are really they're at risk of losing a lot of their like native arts. And so what I want to do for the next project is get these artists, like collaborate with these artists and other big artists to really bring more exposure to them, one, and then two, to raise more money to be able to support like the organizations that are doing a lot of work to support, you know, the culture and the art that they're trying to save there. So like these are like ongoing projects, and now we can help support with the creation of new art and like the selling of new art. And what's also kind of cool about this is that it doesn't have to just be digital NFTs, right? Like we know that we can have like physical pieces and have NFTs that they sell as NFTs, you know, as part of that, but then they come with a physical piece. So like the second artist I have on for this current project is this Brazilian artist, Nando Prado, and he makes these like really cool like collage splatter paint art. And then he does acrylic that he prints on, and he puts that on top, so it's kind of like a shadow box. So he made 2 of those for this project already. And so when those sell as NFTs, the purchaser will end up with also this really cool painting in real life that I think also gives NFTs a lot more value. So
I love how much you're tying culture in the real world to Web3. Like typically it's like Web3 culture is becoming like super popular and is the thing. And you're like, no, we're going to bring the history, like the old culture back from Mexico, and we're going to bring that to Web3. And I absolutely love that. I think we got to slowly wrap up here, but Jay, I think you're going to do, I think we want to do a speed round if you're okay with that, Raquel.
Yeah, I just got one question actually, even though we're already well over time, Raquel. Sorry about that. But there's just so many great stories. I just got to know, what was it like when you first told Maria Del Mar and her dad that you were doing this and that they were going to get funds from this? Like,
you know what? It was actually more difficult to convince them that this was not like, it wasn't a scam, and it wasn't like it's like trying to explain crypto to somebody who, you know, who has built an entire career, an entire life, like buying things in person and like, you know, like with their hands, like in person, you know, selling that, flipping that. It's very tangible, right? Like, you know, you deal with cash, you deal with all this stuff. And to go to them and say like, hey, we want to create art based on this thing that you did, and like they have the copyright too. It's like, and like we want to like get your permission, use the copyright in order to sell these pieces to raise money for you that will get royalties for like forever. And by the way, it's all going to be in this other kind of money that you don't actually know yet. It was just, they kind of, and they're like, and who are you? And I'm like, they're like, who are you, this white girl? And I'm like, no, wait, I'm Mexican, I promise. I love it here. Like, I think this is so interesting. Like, this is why I care. Like, this is why I think it's like, I think it's like such a part, it's like such an integral part of like the fabric of the culture here. It's like, one, it's obviously this meme of Mexico City, but also beyond that, it's like these are like Maria and her dad, you know, like the sound, it's like an icon of the working class here, right? And so it's like we want to celebrate that. It's like this isn't like this new tech money where like, you know, people like they like get lucky, they buy a few Doge coins back, you know, in 2013 and now they're millionaires and retired. It's like, no, like this is people working, like this is bringing together people to like create real art, and it's tangible, right? And we want to celebrate that. Like I think this is something that's important. I think it's important like to the culture. I think it's important even to like, I don't know, potentially like to like NFTs. Like I really would love to see like the kind of like the ideas around what NFTs are, as just being like this, like these like kind of like lofty, crazy ideas that nobody really like has any grasp over, and kind of like bringing them back down to the world a little bit, being like, look, we can use this technology and apply it to create like new channels for like the things that we know already, whether that's culture, whether that's art, whether that's buying and selling things that we know in the real world, right? And just thinking about like what Web3 and what NFTs can do better, and then just like applying that and just like bringing it back down, right? And I think like for me, it's like I said, like I'm not that technical, but I see these tools as like these really cool new possibilities for what we can do in the future, and I think like if we make them more accessible to kind of like the everyday, like the everyman, you know, the every woman, then we can do a lot more with it, because it's not going to just be constrained to like the tech bros, who are doing things of like that don't necessarily relate to people who are, you know, living in Web 2 every day, right?
I love it. I love it. Inspiring too. Your honesty that you are not the tech person, I think, is something you don't get a lot of in Web3. You know, I think a lot of people, ego gets in the way sometimes, and everybody's trying to, you know, one up, and it's tough to be vulnerable and to admit that. So I think that's great for a lot of people in the community to hear, because a lot of people get turned off by feeling like they're not the most technical person in the room. I certainly am also with you on that one, Raquel. Okay, I'm just going to wrap up. We like to wrap up with a couple sort of speed round, lightning round questions. Raquel, you got a couple more minutes for us here?
Yep. Cool.
Awesome. Okay. Favorite person to follow on Twitter or whatever platform you choose?
For the comedy's sake, kind of, I've got to say the president of El Salvador. If you haven't seen his tweets that are like, El Salvador, don't give a fuck. It's just like, oh my God. Crazy.
Amazing. Okay. That's a good one. Favorite NFT project?
Mine.
Me too now.
Love it. Yeah, I was gonna say mine too. Holy geez. Weirdest DAO that you've heard about?
Ooh, weirdest DAO.
Or most interesting DAO recently, and like anything that stood out to you.
You know what? I think maybe not most interesting, but like my favorite, or one of my favorites is Developer DAO. Partially because I had one of the members like come to a talk, and he was talking about just how nice they are, and like he's like, this is like the nicest group of people you will ever encounter. Like they're all Midwesterners, and so they all have like this like Midwestern like cheerfulness, and they're like you like someone new comes in and everyone's like, oh howdy, like how's it going?
So it's not GM, it's howdy.
Well, yeah, well, it's just like they're so like overly like sweet and nice and like friendly. And if you've ever met any Midwesterners, it's like I could just imagine like an entire Discord full of them, and I'm just like, this sounds like the greatest like place on earth.
I love it. I love it. Well, before we let you go, Raquel, where can people find you online? Where can they learn more about your projects?
Yeah, totally. So number one is you can find me on Twitter at crypto_Condesa. That's CONDESA, Condesa. Or on Linktree. It's Linktree, which is like linktr.ee/CDMX. It's super simple. So yeah, once you get to Linktree, just /CDMX, and all my groups are there. Anytime like if I'm in an article, my podcast is there. Yeah, that's the easiest way to get in touch with me. My Twitter, my Instagram, my Telegram groups, meetup groups for Tuesday night dinner club, Thursday night crypto meetups, all of it. That's
if you're in Mexico City, make sure to reach out to Raquel, and she will have something for you to do. I promise you that. Raquel, thank you so much for coming on Web3 Academy. This was so much fun, and it's great to hear all about what you're doing in Web3, because what you're doing is pretty amazing and very different from, I think, a lot of people. So it's very, very interesting. But yeah, thank you again for coming on, and we'll put all the links and stuff in the show notes so everyone can find that there. For everyone else, the listeners, by the way, this was live in the Discord. I don't even think we mentioned that at the beginning, but you can jump in and you can ask questions. We do this every week, and we will take your questions and ask the guests if it's a good question. And so you can do that anytime. But anyway, thanks everybody, and all the best.
Have a great week. Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to Web3 Academy. We hope this helps you along your Web3 journey. And if it does, please share this episode and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. By the way, if you have yet to join the Discord community, you are missing out. This is where all the magic happens. This is where we learn, where we ask questions, where we network. You want to be in there. The link to join is in the description below. And finally, a quick disclaimer. Nothing in this podcast was financial advice. Crypto and Web3 can be risky. You can literally lose it all. In fact, if you invest on account of what we say, you probably will lose it all. So don't do that. In all honesty, the point of this podcast is to remove the noise of markets and price and focus on utility and implementation anyway. So you should not take any of this as financial advice. Thank you, friends, and see you in the next one.